You know, this is an amazing show we're going to have today, and I'll tell you why. So many of you that went down to the Supernatural Health Summit at the Trump Doral with me. People keep saying to me, it's the only event I do. I mean, I do conferences, the only event where people come up to me and thank me for the event. I mean, I'm sure they like the other ones, but it's a very strange thing. I think it's because there's very few Pentecostal, level 10, mountain-taking people, dominionists like me out there that are embracing the medical profession as like a mountain. Bring the mountain of supernatural, divine healing and technology and medical breakthroughs here, and let's expose the fraud, expose the corruption, expose the danger. Because, man, the whole world was shut down and locked down with that COVID thing. And you know as well as I do, the story was not accepted, that it came from a lab because of a manipulated technology that was done by American money that went outside the system, that worked with a Chinese lab. I mean, the story is incredible, and that it was a man-made thing that shut the whole world down. I'm telling you. But these doctors have stood up and paid a price. The ones that I had out there, I noticed that every one of them paid a price to stand for the truth. Dr. Simone Gold, Dr. Neil Goodman, Dr. Chauncey Crandall, Dr. Peter McCullough, even Doc Darcy here, and Jordan Rubin, and Carson Adcock. We have a whole list of people with a broad range, from nutritional to new technology to stem cell therapy to cold plunge. I mean, I even went into a sub-zero cold plunge experience. I don't know if it was sub-zero. It was cold enough, freezing cold, and 3 minutes in the cold plunge. It was invigorating. I told Annabelle, I got to get one of them there things for my house, because I was so happy to be alive and survive that I was awake the rest of the day. But anyway, I want you to hear Peter McCullough. This is one of the most cited authorities in the country. And I remember when he was up there in the White House saying, what are we doing about preventative therapies? And Fauci goes, get out of here, get out. Preventative therapies like ivermectin and hydrochloroquine, what was it called? Hydroxychloroquine. And, and about, and iodine with water. Iodine, you can spray it in your nose, and it literally coats your nose. You wouldn't be able to take in the COVID virus, even though it's man-made and dangerous. It would kill off in your nasal capacity if it comes in through the nose. So you spray the iodine. The guy was ahead of the story there, but Trump didn't get it from him, and he got shut down and keeps on the vaccines. Well, he comes back with a vengeance. And by the way, you guys are going to want to get these recordings. I'm going to give you a Whitman sampler of my favorite segments, but you need to get all of them. Go to healthsummit.us. Why not? If you couldn't make it for whatever reason, this isn't one of those events when it's done, it's like, well, you never hear about it again. I do that too often. I have a great event and then I move on from there. This one, I'm not letting that happen. I told the staff, I said, we're going to make these recordings available because everyone's thanking me and they paid to go. So I guarantee you who didn't pay to go will be thanking me that you got to hear it. healthsummit.us. You can get the recordings before they're gone. All right, let's play something for Dr. Peter McCullough. I didn't even tell him what to pick. Just give me a segment of, I hope it's on the autism thing.
This recent analysis is one of now a dozen papers or so showing children who take no vaccines whatsoever are healthier than children who take vaccines. Healthier in today's modern age. A healthy child born today is going to be much less likely to have autism or epilepsy or allergic disorders if they go natural. This is Florida. Right here in Florida, 10% of Medicaid recipients, the children have no record of taking any vaccines. So McCullough Foundation on October 27th published the most comprehensive, scientifically supported, evidence-based report on the determinants of autism spectrum disorder. We reviewed every paper going back from the beginning, right back to Leo Kanner's original observation of autism in the 1940s, all the way forward. We sent this to Robert F. Kennedy, everybody in the White House, everybody in HHS, everybody in the CDC, and everybody in the FDA. We made it clear, and it should be clear to everyone, there is an autism epidemic, an absolute epidemic. It is going to consume us. 1 in 31 children, 3.2% of all children, over 5% in California, 27% of them have profound autism. Can't communicate, never will communicate, can't use the toilet independently. It's a disaster. How many of you are touched by autism in your family with some disaster? I am. Yeah, it's about a quarter of us now. It's in lockstep with this vaccine madness. If this was a curve of smoking and lung cancer, it would look the same. If it was a curve of cocaine and addiction, it would look the same. We have entered a period now of clear, unbridled vaccine madness. And the COVID vaccine era has ushered this in. What did we find? We found that, sure, there are some common genetic variants. There are risk factors like older parents, older parents, men over 40, women over 35, delivering a baby before 37 weeks, some in utero exposures that are heavy-duty drugs over 9 months, like antidepressants, antipsychotics, anti-epileptics, not a dose of Tylenol. That was a gross attempt at deception by the current administration. No, it's not Tylenol. I have medical authority to tell you it's not Tylenol. If I was part of that team in Washington, I'd say, no, sorry. Sorry, Mr. President, that's not happening. It's not Tylenol. Let's go through this. Okay, we have to call it. The big risk factor is giving vaccines in combination. Insusceptible children who may have other risks, giving a big battery of vaccines converts the child to autism. The case series are clear now. It happens within a few days or a few weeks or a few months of taking the battery of vaccines. Does it happen in every child? No. Clearly, it must be predisposing factors. My kids took all the vaccines. They're perfectly fine. I took them all. But that's just because my kids are okay doesn't mean the next kid's going to be okay. Well, we sent this to Washington. What happened? Within 3 weeks, the CDC changes their language on the vaccine and autism on their website, saying, this hasn't been ruled out. Within 90 days, Trump just bypasses RFK. He goes to Jim O'Neill, who's the acting CDC director, who's not a medical person, and he just says, trim the schedule. And O'Neill trims off probably politically the less contentious vaccines, but the big combinations, DPT and MMR, are still on the program, and I anticipate that's not going to solve this autism problem. But it doesn't stop here. Some of you probably saw me on TV this week about an autistic Barbie doll. So instead of recognizing that autism is a neuropsychiatric condition that needs intensive cognitive behavioral therapy, intensive training, and parental effort from the beginning, Leo Kanner, who first described autism, in his report, interestingly said the parents of autistic children, in his view, are exceptional, and I agree. The parents of autistic children, you will find, are some of the most exceptional parents ever because they've had to do this out of necessity. But this is now one of a dozen dolls, and this one in particular is trying to normalize this, that it's normal. This little Barbie can't look you in the eye. The Barbie's wearing headphones because of hyperacusis. Barbie can't handle normal volumes like we're listening to right now. Well, there's a clear linkage between autism and transgenderism. This giant study from Warrior in the,
stop it there. Stop
UK
it there, Will.
Demonstrates this.
Hold it right there. You guys catching this now? What? Boom! Right so far, and like information's gone up to the White House. Kennedy's not totally, as much as he's doing, he's only peeling back a few layers. And then Trump goes after Tylenol. That was what you call a red herring. That wasn't really the issue. Some reduction in, the scheduling for these toxic, unnecessary, dangerous in combination vaccines. But here's what I want you to catch. He's about to make the link on this multifactorial determinant of autism spectrum disorder, of the high correlation between autism and transgenderism, because, as Jordan Peterson pointed out early on, when you are socially disadvantaged, socially dysfunctional, you can't have the eye contact, you have unusual body movements, you can't handle certain sounds, you're kind of like, have you ever seen like Love on the Spectrum, like I've watched this on, was HBO or Netflix or something, with autistic dating, trying to find the right autistic partner? Your heart goes out to these lovable, but in a sense, challenged people because they have this disorder. And now we're realizing a large part of that is chemically messing them up because of vaccines. Then they're trying to function like normal adults. They have all the emotions of anybody else. But because they're somewhat outcast, somewhat not fitting in, not the cool kids, they're not the ones that, certainly have the physical coordination for the sports and the games and for the plays and the theater and, the dancing and all that stuff. So what's happened is they find a way to make themselves significant. And how do they do that? It's by declaring themselves to be trans. Suddenly they get all the support. Suddenly they get all this positive affirmation. Suddenly they get all this attention. Suddenly they have all these arguments brought to them to give them a community that kind of celebrates. But now they're unique and they're going to do something. And do you understand the vulnerability of the autistic child is that they can fall prey to the manipulation of the trans virus, which is out there. Now, having said that, he's making a clear link between autism and transgenderism, with many young people with autism being influenced to change their gender, and counselors and others confuse and convince autistic individuals to undergo gender transition, leading to harmful treatments like puberty blockers. And I know this is incendiary. This is going to get me banned in Louisville or someplace, but watch this.
Transgender came out of nowhere. None of us even heard about it 10 years ago. Well, where did it come from? It's coming from autism. The young people who are wanting to change their gender have autism. They're suggestible. They feel ostracized. They're having trouble with dating in the opposite sex. And the counselors and others pounce on this. They bombard them with pornography. They confuse them. Then ultimately they're convinced to change their genders. And then they start this journey, this heinous journey. The puberty blockers, the most common one given is Lupron. That permanently impairs cognitive function. That child will never think as well as they could have without getting a dose of Lupron. Elon Musk's son got a dose of Lupron. I messaged him on that. The androgens and estrogens make the kids sick. They cause acne, they can't sleep, they're nausea, vomiting. Screws them up. Taking the breasts off a normal girl permanently screws up the lymphatic drainage in the chest, causes contractures. Then it gets worse. Now, fortunately, Ken Paxton in Texas and other places in Florida, it was banned. It still hasn't stopped. In Texas, at my medical school, UT Southwestern, dozen or more doctors are still doing it. Now Paxton has to try to take them to court. There's a madness that's set in among doctors. This direction of taking autistic children and trying to change their gender it's like a science fiction medical horror story. It increases the burden of psychiatric care. It's sterilizing, disfiguring, and increases mortality. And when Ken Paxton's office reached out to me, he said, Dr. McCullough, we're trying to fight off the ACLU and the Texas Supreme Court. We can't find a qualified doctor to go against transgender. I told him, you found one now. Your doctors, thank you.
You got a long ovation for that. That ovation will go on for minutes, folks. I'm going to stop it right there. Whoa! I don't even know if they're going to let me play this on YouTube. You know, they just gave me back 100,000 viewers that they took from me. This is how we get in trouble, people. So, Lance, how do you bring these persecutions upon yourself? By doing segments like this. He just got done telling you one of the most cited scientific voices in the medical field says that the correlation between autism and the combinations of unnecessary vaccines, compounding reactions in America, especially 2,000% increase in autism compared to other countries, it's vaccine-related. Then you do another correlation of vaccine-related autistic children that are getting destroyed by, it's a double curse. They get the autism from the pharmaceuticals, and then they are dependent for the rest of their life on pharmaceuticals because they get told on, hey, we're not done yet. Autism is just the beginning of your fun ride. Now we're going to mutilate your genitals and force, all kinds of other urinary and lymphatic problems. You're going to be taking pills the rest of your life, even to think clearly. And there are doctors performing it, which explains the experimentations on the Jews in the Second World War. I have no one in the studio here that could stop me from saying these. I have little voices, little alarms going off. You can't say that, Lance. But they're not here right now. So I'm saying it. So here's what I'm going to tell you. These doctors, I mean, it makes you realize how it is that I get it. I get why the people are all Epsteined up about the list, because the idea that if doctors that are dignified, respected members of your community, paid hundreds of thousands of dollars, if they can do that to young boys and girls, knowing they'll listen to this information and ignore it, they'll do it for the money. Well, that makes me think that what are people capable of doing with children? What are they capable of doing with sex trafficking? What are they doing? I understand Lara Logan's cynicism and concern about what's happening with missing kids. And I get it, because we're no different than in World War II and those people that did experiments on Jews. They were in concentration camps. That was Dr. Mengele. Anyway, on a more optimistic note, it's being exposed. Isn't that great? Now, guess what? I just did a broadcast this week. You got to watch it. It depends on when Will and my production team back there wants to show it. They control my life back there, basically. But if they want to show it, I did a segment on, and I remember I gave a title to it. Now, my whole staff shut it down. It was too incendiary. But it was like how the transgender movement is getting castrated or something like that. But they said, you can't say that. Well, the transgender movement, which is right out of hell as far as I'm concerned, trying to get boys to think they're girls and girls to think they're boys. Talk about messing up your life purpose right at the get-go. Your calling from God. What happened is they started getting sued last week. The Supreme Court's back in cases. So you see what's going to happen is those 18-year-olds, 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds that had those mastectomies and those surgeries, when they hit 23, they could turn around and whack the company, the counselors and the doctors, with responsibility for altering their life and basically not giving them a full understanding of what they were getting into. And they've already been starting to get awarded money. I believe the insurance companies are going to put the squeeze on the doctors, and perhaps the answer to the problem came from an unexpected source, and it's going to be lawsuits. No doctor, they might not have a conscience about what they're doing, but they are sensitive to losing money and not being insured. And they're all worried because malpractice insurance, they got to have it because anyone can sue anybody in a lawless society. Heck, I could get sued right now for what I'm saying. But here's the reality of it. They're already backing up. And Dr. Peter McCullough and his courageous steps with Ken Paxton. We need guys like Ken Paxton. Man, you realize how few leaders there are. One Ken Paxton, one Peter McCullough. We need them. And we need you. I want you to get a hold of this. Go to healthsummit.us. That was just one. That wasn't Simone Gold or Dr. Crandall or Dr. Neil Goodman or Doc Darcy or Jordan Rubin or Carson Adcock. That was just one. Wait till you hear all of them. Healthsummit.us. Get the recordings before they're gone. They're a deal and a steal at any price. See you again tomorrow.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world